Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Balmy perform service degrees out. Shut up with your perform service. It's fine. Nosy van. Telling me what to do. I woke up this morning expected to record the podcast because we usually record on Saturday morning, and then put it out the following Friday because we're weird. This is my most consistently regular time that we can record, so this is when we do it. One day I will have evenings off, and it'll be awesome. But I woke up ready to record the podcast, and sat in my chair. It was like 15 minutes later. I texted Tony, didn't get any response. I told my wife, I was like, I think I must have like rescheduled or something and forgot about it, because I remembered us talking somewhat about maybe doing it on Thursday this week because he's going to be off or something. And she says, well, if you're not doing the podcast now, we can go to the train museum. So I got to go to the train museum with my kid, because I've been planning this for forever. Not forever, but I've been thinking about, like, the train museum's dumb because they're only open on Friday and Saturday. And those days can get kind of busy, you know, and then he has to take his nap in the afternoon, so you can't take him like after 1, so you got to get everything in before. I've got a mess happening right here. I go around you, Mr. Tow Truck. Your nose sticking out in the road. So anyway, yeah, we got to go out to the train museum. We get there, and there is a mass of cars out there. Like, so many people. I was like, what is this? What's going on with it? How come there's so many people at the train museum? And it was the sort of annual, I just happened to manage to get there on the day of the annual train collectors swap meet sell-off thing. I had no idea it was going to be there. He was just going to climb around in the caboose and walk through the one car and then look at the little displays, and he was going to have to be happy with that. But no. He got to ride on, like, there's a little train that goes around in a circle, like, not a full-size train, but like a giant model train, if that makes sense. I sat in it with him and was super uncomfortable because it's not made for people my size at all. It's been a good day. Trains are the best. You know what? Like, I was gonna buy another train set because I have a train set from my dad from he had it when he was a kid, and I've always loved trains, and they sell trains today, but they're crap. I mean, you can get the nice ones, but like generally, if you go to a store somewhere, it's just some dumb battery-operated thing with a plastic track, and like makes a little noise. It plays the music as it goes around, like you're 3 years old or something. Like this isn't a real train. This is dumb toy stuff. Anyway, I'm very passionate. Real trains, they're the best. But, so I have my dad's old train set, and I was gonna, it hasn't worked for a while. Like, his engine, I hook everything up to the track, and I, operate the transformer, and his engine just doesn't go anymore. Kind of makes a humming noise and doesn't want to go anywhere. I almost bought a new set today. I was like, because it's expensive to replace the pieces. He has a big, what they call an O-gauge track, which is technical lingo for only a few select people who really get into the model train thing. But it's bigger, is what I'm saying. They're like this tall, as opposed to like the little ones are like this big. And I didn't want to have to buy a whole new O-gauge engine. But I was talking with the guy who I was actually going to buy something from, and he says, listen, you can buy this if you want to, but probably you can fix your dad's engine if you just like clean up some contact points and oil some, select little bits, and it would work better. So I'm all excited now. I haven't actually done it yet, so who knows, maybe it won't work still, but I'm really hoping I can get my dad's old train back up and running and not have any, or at least very much, money out of pocket, because I don't have any money out of pocket. I'm so nostalgic for that stuff. The real model train sets with the metal rails, and you hook up the transformer and you plug it in and it kind of hums as it, He had everything. He even had like little model houses to go around. So cool. So cool. If I get it back up and running, I will update you guys on how it's doing. Maybe I'll even post a little video on here. Who knows? But, shout out to trains. They're old, but they're the best. Another successful day of earning wages at the Walmart. Today was kind of a roller coaster. Like, I felt really bad in the middle of the day. Like, I want to go home sick kind of bad. And then I got into a big argument and I felt better. One of those, like, nonsensical arguments where you just, like, put down roots on one side or the other and, like, refuse to budge and use whatever logic you can possibly conjure up to defend your side, and the other side does the same. I love those. It's like politics, but, you know, you could go home friends afterwards. I also read a really interesting statistic today. There's this whole thing going on that you may or may not have heard of. You probably have if you're watching this video, because, you know, if you're savvy enough to find this podunk little tiny vlog, you've heard of Gamergate. And I'm not tagging that or having any opinions about it one way or the other here. So if you're looking for that, go elsewhere. But it was interesting because there was a, apparently there's an app or a website of some kind that tracks how many people use a particular hashtag. And this Gamergate thing's been blowing up. And also there's an anti-Gamergate hashtag, end Gamergate 2014 or whatever, or stop Gamergate, I don't know. I don't care, as I mentioned. Everybody is all mad. Either side is just furious at the other side, and they're all, again, it's one of those politics things where nobody can ever, like, bring themselves to see the other side's point of view. They're like, you might have a point of view, but you're all toxic and evil. And the other side's like, you guys all... Anyway, I don't want to get into it. Point being, this statistic was talking about this hashtag for Gamergate. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was around 350 people using the Gamergate hashtag. Now, I don't know if that's the total number of people that ever used it or retweeted it, or if it was the number of people sort of engaging with that hashtag. But it was still a very interesting statistic, because this is something that is seeing a massive amount of traction, seemingly, from where I'm sitting on Twitter. People are talking about it all the time. And yet, just for that hashtag, and again, some people aren't using the hashtag and other stuff, but 350 people are driving this massive conversation, seemingly massive conversation. It really got me thinking about sort of the nature of activism. You know, like, there's this, I think we get the sense anyway that when cultural change happens, it happens like in big waves. You know, sort of the groundswell of support rises up and people, you know, kind of shift in a big mass. And then, like, lately we've had this sort of idea of, and then sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's a small group of people, and that small group of people is making it look like there's a lot of people, and that's called astroturfing, right? We've got our astroturfing guys. That's the fake groundswell, the fake activism. But I really feel like that most, you know, causes that people don't already believe in, you know, in general, are driven by a small group of people. Most activism is astroturfing. It's not that the greater mass of people don't eventually get involved, but it's interesting how small of a number of people it takes to get those people involved. It's not a huge number. It's not like you have to have, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people on your side. You know, it can be one person at the center of a movement, really pushing for something. How many think, you know, everybody knows about PETA, right? And sort of their activism and how sort of, you know, crazy they get about stuff. And again, this is not about one opinion or the other. I kind of tend to come down on this sort of more like, you guys are a little bit crazy side of PETA. But we all know about them, we all hear their message, and I seriously doubt that there are many tens of thousands of people actively involved with PETA. It's a small group of people who are virulently attached to their cause, willing to do whatever it takes to get that message out. And usually it's, you know, at least some percentage of that group needs to be well networked, you know, sort of connected type of people, so that, you know, somebody sees that message. But even that can be kind of built up if you're passionate enough about something. It's kind of encouraging. Yesterday was all about downers, about like everybody sucks, you're never gonna succeed. But today it's kind of like, maybe the cool news is you can change the world. I don't know that you will. That's the issue, right? Like, do you care enough about anything to get out there and shake and move and change the world? But it's possible. It doesn't take a lot of people to change the minds and hearts of a larger number of people, to at least bring a conversation to be that wasn't there before. Think on that.